What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Plus One interview. And today we are joined by a special guest, New England Basketball Journal. I almost said Football Journal, but New England Basketball Journal's own Ethan Fuller. What is going on, sir?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is really cool. How's it going?
Good, man. Good, man. I'm glad you were able to come on. You know, we see each other a lot during this basketball season, but all the girls' game. But, man, state tournament is here. There's a lot of great teams in this tournament, a lot of great matchups. We are going to cover the girls' side of it on this 15 minutes that we have together. And let's just start off in the Division One. You know, Wachusett and Bishop Feehean are the 1 and 2 seeds in this bracket. Both of these teams faced off against each other last year in the state title game, with Feehean winning. Does it look like it's another collision course between the two programs?
It does look like that to me, and that's no shade at any of the other teams. Division One is always so strong and deep of a field, but both of these teams have been really good once again. You talk about Bishop Feehan and their backcourt, Maddie Steele and Charlotte Adams-Lopez, both seniors, kind of doing their thing. The rest of the teams come along really well. And then Wachusett, for having graduated so many players from last year's team, they've come back really, really strong. Jalen Scott is their star forward. She's getting Division I college offers. Their backcourt duo is really good, Tegan Lanfer and Sophie Gibbons. I see a rematch coming, and maybe another team is able to get in the way, but both of these teams look really strong.
Yeah, and both of these teams also this season, they did a great job with their scheduling. They played a lot of the tough teams on the girls' side, a lot of teams that were ranked in the top 20, if it was either the Globe or the Boston Herald. So they both have been battle tested. Feehean, I think they had 2 games against St. Mary's. They split the 2 games meetings with St. Mary's. I mean, the last one literally came down to a buzzer beater. And I think the battle tested of these teams is going to pay dividends.
Yeah, I completely agree. I got to watch both of them most recently. They played in a tournament at Emmanuel College, and it was kind of the same thing where they each battled. Wachusett got a really good test from Central Catholic and was losing most of that game and ended up being able to pull it out at the end. Bishop Feehan actually lost that game to Foxborough, who I'm sure we'll talk about a little later. But again, like they schedule these schedules really tough on purpose so that it prepares them for the state tournament, and I think it's going to show for both of them.
All right, and then as we look at some of these other matchups in this bracket, we'll look at the side of Wachusett. We've got Lincoln. Wachusett will play the winner of Arlington and Waltham. But in that bracket, as we go down, Lincoln Sudbury versus Hopkinton, Central Catholic versus Algonquin, Franklin versus Taunton, Braintree plays the winner of Shrewsbury and Revere, Needham and Andover, Woburn plays the winner of New Bedford and Medford, and Bridgewater Raynham and Malden Catholic. Out of those matchups I just said, which one do you find the most intriguing, and which team on that side do you think could be a team that people should really keep an eye on?
Ooh, I think that's a good question. I mentioned Central Catholic as an 8 seed. They're very interesting to me just because of how well they played Wachusett recently. They have Carrie Finneran and Aniela Quo. They're 2 really, really good, versatile forwards. Central Catholic, always a super tough team that rebounds hard and defends hard. Woburn's a team people who have followed Division I probably know very well. They are just perennially one of the best defensive teams in the state. So as a 5 seed, I really like them. And then just kind of generally, on this side and in the tournament, the Bay State Conference has a lot of good teams. We'll get to Natick and Framingham, but Braintree too has had quite a breakout season, and I've been really impressed by what they've been able to do. So that if we get that 4 versus 5 Braintree and Woburn matchup, I think that's going to be a really interesting one I'd be excited about.
Yeah, Braintree girls and boys both having quite the season for the school. And then we look at the other side, as we said, Bishop Feehean is the number 2 seed. They will play the winner of Durfee and Concord Carlisle. But we go down, probably the game of the week is Belmont and North. I've seen Belmont twice. Coach Chantel Jeters, she has some tough girls on her team with the young freshman as well, who's really made noise this season. I think Belmont is poised to try to make a run at it, but this is going to be a tough matchup with Newton North.
Yeah, that was a great matchup to call out because Belmont, as you said, Chantel Jeter's done a really good job with that program. And you got players like Sophia McClendon, you had Linda Shang over there, both very strong players. Newton North, too, is a fun team to watch. Devin Burke is one of the just best run and jump athletes that you'll find in the MIA this season. She's also a star volleyball player. So definitely keep an eye out for her in Newton North. And yeah, as you said, if you're going to look for a round of 32 matchup to go see, I would definitely pick that one.
And as I look down some of these other matchups, Quincy Mansfield, King Philip versus Lexington, Springfield Central is placing the winner of Acton Boxborough and Malden, Westford and Chelmsford. Natick is going to play Attleboro, who defeated Lynn English last night, 66-56. Framingham and Brookline. Now another team on this side of the bracket, Brookline. Brookline is a really good basketball team, fundamentally sound basketball team. They've got height, they've got shooters, they play defense. The 3 times I saw them play this year, their defense was really what impressed me the most. Do you think Brookline can make a deep run this year?
It's going to be challenging. I know home court advantage in the tournament is a big deal, but I do like that take because they, as you said, defend really well and they've played some good teams close. I believe they lost to Braintree only by 5 fairly late in the season, so shows you they're on the right track. And that kind of corner of the bracket with Brookline, Framingham, Natick, again, like a lot of Bay State Conference presence in this Division I bracket. I think a lot of those teams, because they know each other so well, will be able to game plan for each other well, and those games will all be close. So I'm definitely interested. You could see an upset there.
Let's move on to Division II. There's this one. Woo, man, you want to talk about some intriguing matchups in this one. I'm looking at this potential matchup between Medfield and Bishop Fenwick, the defending champs Medfield. They look poised to go back to Lowell to defend their crown. The Anagiri sisters, they're really tough to cover. They play defense. They make open threes. And I just think this team might have a really, really good chance of repeating.
I completely agree with you. First, I don't know if I've said this publicly. I think Division II from the top down to maybe 15 is probably the best division this year. I think it's better than Division I. I think so many of these teams are so good. Even you can extend it down to Bishop Fenwick for a 17 seed. That is a really, really good 17 seed. But as you said, Medfield, with the sisters, they're amazing. I think their lineup that they can put out where they have 5 great 3-point shooters who can all move the ball at the same time. Adding Izzy Kittredge, Tess Baki, and then the freshman Abby Broderick too. That is just such a hard lineup to defend. I watched them beat St. Mary's in a really, really good game, and even as well as St. Mary's played, and St. Mary's defends really well, Medfield just has the shooters to wear you down, and they move the ball consistently, and they're really hard to stop over the course of an entire game. That's why they only lost once in state to Foxborough. They're really strong, and like you said, it's hard to pick against them to repeat for sure.
The late game execution is so flawless. They just know which plays to run. The coach makes the great adjustments. And that game against St. Mary's, that 3-pointer in the corner on the out of bounds play, that was one of the best design plays that I've seen all season.
Yeah.
You go Oliver Ames and Leominster. Oliver Ames, I watched them play as well. They're a really good team. But which team out of both sides of the bracket do you think can give a team make a team sweat a little bit?
Okay, this is interesting. I'll follow you on Oliver Ames. So you've seen Avery Gamble. She is an awesome guard who I think is very versatile and does a lot of great things with that team. She's super fun to watch. That kind of quadrant of the bracket, Dartmouth with Kat Cheesebro, who one of the superstars of the state. As a senior, she'll be looking to go out with a bang. Whitman Hanson, though, who beat Dartmouth in overtime, I believe, of last year's tournament. Whitman Hanson as a 7 seed, I'm really intrigued by. I think they're very good, and I think they've clicked later at the right time. And then other teams, again, 6-seeded Worcester South, they're always really tough. They lost to Bishop Feehan by 3 on a last-second 3-pointer from Maddie Steele. But that says a lot about Worcester South, too, and how well they can play top teams close. I look down at Archbishop Williams, which is in its first year under head coach Sarah Bain, but they have slowly kind of gone through these ups and downs and look better lately. I'm keeping an eye on them as a 21 seed, but yeah, you can kind of go wherever you want in this bracket and find a team that you think is at least interesting to watch. Billerica as a 22 seed, I'm intrigued by. Yeah, there's so it's hard for me to pick against some of these elite teams that I know, but there is definitely upset potential if you have a team you like for sure.
And to piggyback off Worcester South, they were in the state title game last year. I got a chance to see them when they played against St. Mary's. They lost that game, but they did have some good moments in that game, and the players they play really solid. That game they were just a little bit flustered and got out of character a little bit, but there were times in the game where they settled down and they were able to make St. Mary's work, and they was able to penetrate St. Mary's defense. They ran their plays and got some good looks. So yeah, Worcester South definitely intrigued on how far they will go, because they're definitely one of the most well coached teams in this bracket.
Yeah, completely agree with all that for sure.
Move to Division 3 with Division 3. St. Mary's girls probably the favorite. Foxborough on the other side, number 2 seed. These two teams faced off in the same semifinals last year at UMass Boston, where Foxborough won. With the Foxborough's experience just overwhelmed St. Mary's. Are we poised for a rematch in the state title game?
My opinion is yes. I believe, and again, I don't think Foxborough, they lost one time in state, and it was kind of a blip on the radar against Olive Ames. I think Foxborough is the best team. That being said, I think it would be a much more evenly matched game than last year's matchup against St. Mary's in the semifinals, where, as you kind of said, St. Mary's hung on, kept it competitive for about a half, and then Foxborough just kind of steamrolled that second half. Everyone knew how good Foxborough was last year. And again, they are amazing this year. They're so well coached. They play defense so well. Their star guard, Kaylee Sullivan, has taken another leap as a senior, but I think we're going to get a rematch because I think St. Mary's is a significantly better team than they were last year. And for still being very young, and you can probably agree with this too, they seem much more mature and poised in those big moments than they were last year too.
Definitely, I think the experience from last year definitely carried over and helped them a lot this year, especially down the stretch of games and how they closed it out. But as you said, Foxborough is looking to go 3 in a row, so they have a lot of motivation to this postseason. I'm looking at some of these other matchups, and there's going to be some other good games, but the potential with St. Mary's and Foxborough, I think that's just what everyone is looking forward to in this bracket. But if there were to be an upset, which team on either side of the bracket do you think can upset either one of these teams?
Ooh, I think it's going to be hard to knock off those two teams. I would put Norwell as the 3 seed right in the conversation with them, though. Norwell hasn't played as tough of a schedule this year as St. Mary's and Foxborough have, in my opinion. But Norwell got to the state title game last year and lost to Foxborough. It's largely the same group of players that got to that title game. I definitely believe in them. So I would keep an eye on them in a potential semifinal rematch with Foxborough. Pittsfield intrigues me out of Western Mass, kind of this surprise run. They beat Springfield Central, which is extremely hard to do. Springfield Central is an awesome program, but Pittsfield is a 5 seed. And then if you want to really dig into some of the lower seeds, Newburyport is interesting just because they made, I believe, a run to the round of 8 as a 25 seed last year. And this year they're a 16 seed. There's a chance if they beat Springfield International Charter, they'll play St. Mary's early. So worth keeping an eye on. Saugus, you have Peyton DiBiazzo, who has been an unbelievable scorer on Saugus. They're a 25 seed, but if she catches fire in a game, like she could steal a game if they end up playing East Bridgewater, the 8 seed. I think those are some of the teams I like. Arlington Catholic too, I'm intrigued by. But yeah, and I'll shout out Oakmont too, which is undefeated. I don't know how far that's going to get them, but worth keeping an eye on an undefeated team always.
And Saugus plays tonight. The Saugus girls, they play tonight. And lastly, sorry Division 5, but time purposes, we're just we'll stop at 4. Division 4, Cathedral. What are they trying to go for? Are they trying to go 3 in a row themselves this year?
I feel bad kind of portraying it like this, but they are by far the class of this division. There are other really great teams. I believe Millis, the way that Millis defends consistently, they're battle tested in that Tri Valley League. They played Medfield very close, so I think Millis gives them a good shot. South Hadley, which was in the state final last year, could give them a good shot. Bourne is a great team, also could give Cathedral a shot if they make the semifinals, but I mean, if you've seen the Panthers, like they're so relentless. They have so many different contributors. They move the ball well. They're never out of a game. They always play really hard and are able to make comebacks if they fall behind. It's just really tough. I haven't seen a Division IV team in 3 years since their upset. No Division IV team has really had a great shot against Cathedral, and I have to see it to believe it. They're a really good team for sure.
I'm with you on that. I watched them play. Yeah, you are correct. It's just going to be tough to beat them. They so much experience. They have everything you need as a team. They all play well together. The most important thing is they play defense. So, yeah, it might take an act of God for a team to beat them, but that's why you play the game. That's why you play the game, because sometimes you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's not a knock on the other teams either. Cathedral's just really good.
Hey, Ethan, man, let them know where they can read your stuff. If you got any stories out already, and let them know where you'll be for this week for some games.
Yeah, absolutely. So New England Basketball Journal, this is our first year doing the MIA State Tournament. So if you see me out there, please say hi. I was previously at the Globe, but you'll see me. I'll probably be wearing the quarter zip a decent amount. So please come say hi to me and chat it up. I love talking basketball, love talking state tournament. I recently put out my bracket predictions on our site, basketballjournal.com, so you can check those out there. We have an Instagram and a Twitter too, so you can find those. If you're looking for boys content, Steve Hewitt is our boys writer. He does a really awesome job. He'll be locked in on the state tournament too, so definitely follow him. But yeah, we're really excited to be involved for our first year going through this. I think it's going to be a really, really fun tournament, and we have a lot of cool ideas for coverage, so keep an eye out for those.
We're gonna get Steve hopefully for like the state championship. We're gonna get him in. We're gonna get Steve on to when the state championship rolls around to try to preview that. But my man, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take care. I'll see you out there.
All right, man. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. You've been watching the Plus One. Have a good one.